In a score that might not actually reflect how big of a dominant win it was for the Dallas Cowboys, the Cowboys take down the Raiders 33-16 on Monday Night Football. It could have easily been 40-16 had the Cowboys actually tried. We'll break it all down in our instant reaction coming out of Monday Night Football. Before that, give me your one-word reaction to the Cowboys' win over the Raiders. Mine's going to be needed because you needed to win this game for the Cowboys as an organization. Give me your one word in the comment section of today's show. Number one takeaway, the Cowboys dominated all three phases, special teams, the offense, and the defense. I had predicted going into today's game, this was going to be the best performance out of the Dallas Cowboys defense all year long, and boy, was it. They did a great job in the red zone. Quinnen Willliams, as we'll discuss, was a nightmare for the Raiders to defend. The Raiders ran it 12 times for 27 yards. The Raiders offense just never got going. They were 1 of 3 on third downs in the red zone. The Cowboys were 3 of 5. The 2 misses coming in the last 5 minutes of the game. The Cowboys dominated this performance. Offense, defense, you name it. They had the better quarterback. They had the better running back. They had the better number 1 receiver. The better number 2 receiver. Maybe not the better tight end. Who cares? You didn't really notice Terrence Steele all that much. Dak had the early forced fumble. That was it. It was the only sack the Raiders had against the Cowboys. Dallas was unquestionably the better team in this game. All three phases, offense, defense, special teams. Yes, the Raiders are bad, but you had to take care of business to give yourself a chance down the stretch of this matchup, and the Cowboys did it in this one. So grade the Cowboys against the Raiders. A, B, C, D, or F. This question will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. A, B, C, D, or F. This was actually like all in the first half, but Quinnen Willliams in this game was incredible. 4 tackles, a TFL, 1.5 sacks, and 5 quarterback hits. The pressures, the early numbers here per PFF, 7 pressures on 29 pass rush snaps. It was the Quinnen and Osa game, as we'll get into later. All the things that we had hoped for out of Quinnen Williams, I think we got today. He was awesome. Osa was also electric in this matchup, by the way. The final numbers only say 1 tackle. He had 6 pressures in this game. So the Cowboys as a total, early PFF numbers here, 29 pressures, 13 of them from Quinnen and Osa Odigizua. This is exactly what I had hoped for out of the Dallas Cowboys defense. Like, you get Quinnen Williams in there, he dominates a crappy Raiders interior offensive line. Geno, they were doing bubble screens down by 3 scores in the fourth quarter to make it more respectable. Quinnen was awesome. He was everything I wanted him to be. 3 quarterback hits for Osa, almost had 2 sacks. They had 11 QB hits, 8 of them from your top 2 defensive linemen, 9 of them if you want to include Kenny Clark. Awesome effort. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I, look, the weather's getting colder, but the hard-hitting football action is even better on Prize Picks. The feeling of being right never gets old, even if the weather might be changing. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks. Getting $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. This was producer Aiden's Prize Picks lineup, and cheers to you, Aiden. More than Brock Bowers, 67.5 receiving yards. He had 72. More than Javonte Williams rushing yards. He had 93. Both of those hit. If you haven't already, go download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Links to the comments and the description of today's show. The Raiders' defensive game plan was to kind of like double CeeDee Lamb and put Eric Stokes on a bunch. And the end result was, despite getting benched for the opening drive, both Pickens and Lamb, for reasons we might eventually learn, the Raiders left George Pickens one-on-one, and the final result was he kicked their ass. 11 targets, 9 catches, 144 yards for 1 touchdown. He was awesome. The entire Cowboys receiving corps, outside of the bad drop by Lamb on 4th down, which could have been 6, they dominated. George Pickens, 9 catches, 144 yards, and the score. They just didn't have answers for him. The early stats, which, we'll see how much we end up adjusting here. Let me make sure I read these off correctly. George Pickens in coverage. Eric Stokes, 4 targets, 3 catches, 44 yards. Devin White, 2 catches, 2 yards, 22 yards. Jamal Adams, 1 for 19. Kai Blue Kelly, 3 for 59 and a score. The Raiders could not hang with George Pickens all game long. They could not do it. He was awesome in this game. This is why you added Pickens and Lamb, to have dominant efforts like this one where the opposing team cannot cover both, and it showed up. Dak Prescott was also dealing in this one, despite at moments kind of conservative, too much so, play calling out of Brian Schottenheimer. The final numbers, despite several drops in this one, 25 of 33, 268 yards, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 touchdowns, giving him the most 4 touchdown performances of any Cowboys quarterback in history. Dak was awesome in this game. The 1 strip sack fumble Max Crosby got home, I thought for the most part the Cowboys offensive line was good enough, although I will say, I have thought many times in the past, that was a good offensive line effort. And then I've gone back and watched and went, actually, no, some guys got beat. But did Tyler Guyton get beat once tonight? I don't actually think he did. I thought it was a clean game out of Guyton, which is a good sign for the Cowboys. Prescott, you get that effort every game, you're probably going to win most games. And again, it should have been 5. CeeDee made the catch, my guy. I'm sure there are fantasy owners everywhere in shambles over the lost 6.5 points that Lamb should have had he not dropped that near touchdown. Should have been TD. But the Cowboys, everything was good tonight. Everything was good. Now, we will be live again on Sunday for a much more impactful game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I will play my must-win card again. Because if you don't beat Philadelphia, it's not going to happen for you. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. This really was, I think, the best example of what Matt Eberflus's defense at its core wants to be. Bend, but don't break. 4 sacks against Geno Smith. A safety in this game. A tip drill pick from Marquise Bell. I thought we had the good version of Deron Bland. You had several pass breakups. He was good in coverage overall. The linebackers weren't a massive liability. We mentioned Ezeraku was great. Kenny Clark was solid. Oso was great. Quinnen Willliams was the guy we all thought he was going to be. The Raiders did not score a touchdown until the late 4th quarter when the game was over. Eberflus wants to be bend but don't break. And they were bend but don't break. I thought all of the corners were pretty solid tonight. I mean, again, the leading receiver, non-tight end wise, Tucker was 4 for 47. Lockett was 3 for 33. Jack Bech was 1 for 19 on play action. That was it. Kevin Carson played well. I thought Savone Revel, in a very small sample size, was pretty good as well. Deron Bland, was 9 of 4, but only for 34 yards. That's pretty good. I thought the Cowboys defense, this is probably what Eberflus envisions. It is a bad team, though. Is worth mentioning. A lot of options. I think there's actually one right answer. Who gets the game ball? I think it's Marshawn Allen and his family. I think that's a no-brainer. But let me know who gets the game ball for the Cowboys in this one. Keys to victory. I will shout out Cowboys. I think it was Osa carrying the Marshawn Allen jersey. Ryan Flanoy, who was good friends with Allen, had the touchdown catch. Just perfection. Offense showed back up. Yep, they did. Geno, 27 of 42 for under 6 yards per attempt. No redemption game there. You had all kinds of pressure tonight. Quinnen, Osa, your edges, awesome effort there. Ashton, Jeanty, I'm not kidding here. 6 carries, 7 yards. You want to include your checkdowns, 12 touches for 34 yards. They were awesome. Did you finish drives? Yes. The final 2 drives make the Cowboys' red zone numbers go 3 of 5. It was 3 of 3 until garbage time. So they did finish their drives, and the Raiders began the game 0 for 2 until garbage time. Cowboys did their jobs on that front. We'll be live again tomorrow, or I guess depending on when you're watching this, later today, as we get ready for Cowboys-Eagles next week.